In this video, you will learn about what are vectors and what are the direction and magnitude of vectors. To understand vectors, imagine you are somewhere here and you want to go somewhere here and you are in a strange place. So you ask a stranger for direction and the stranger says, go 5 steps right and then 5 steps left. So you go 5 steps right and then 5 steps left and you reach at your destination. What are these 5 steps left and 5 steps right? Well, they are nothing but vectors. They are like little arrows which tells you how much you did something and in what direction you did that. Let's imagine an xy plane. When the direction is along x-axis, we say it as x cap. When the direction is along y-axis, we say it as y cap. This arrow-like symbol is called cap that we actually put on alphabets to shield them from the fear of physics. But why we draw caps and not something else? Is there a specific reason for it? Yes, there is a reason for it. It has to do something with unit vectors. But for now, let's focus on getting the idea of vectors. Considering the previous example, you walk 5 steps right and then 5 steps left. Now look at the red arrow. It has direction only in positive x-axis. Therefore, we write it as plus x cap. And similarly, the green arrow has direction only in positive y-axis. Therefore, we write it as plus y cap. We write how much we did in front of x cap or y cap. That is represented as phi x cap and phi y cap. That is simply 5 steps in positive x direction and 5 steps in positive y direction. The length of this arrow is 5 units as it tells how much you did, and the arrow where it points tells you in what direction you did that. For example, look at this vector. It says you did something about 45 degrees in the first quadrant. If the direction were along negative axis, then we have to write it as negative phi x cap and negative phi y cap. If you want to know how much you did, just look at the length of the vector because it tells you how much you did. And the length of the vector actually represents the magnitude. For example, consider vector a bar. When we want to represent a vector, we usually put an arrow or bar on alphabets. Its length is 7, therefore its magnitude will be 7. Similarly, this vector has the same magnitude 7, only its direction is different. But what if you don't know its magnitude or how much it did? Well, you can find the magnitude of vector by using a simple metric called the Pythagoras theorem. For example, consider this vector. Think, what does it mean? We have added 5x and 7y. That means when you go 5 units in positive x direction and then go 7 units in positive y direction, you will actually get 5x cap plus 7y cap. Now, as phi x is just 5 units in x direction, that can become our base and its length is phi. Because remember, we put how much we did in front of x cap or y cap. And also 7y is just 7 units in y direction. Therefore, it becomes our height and the length of this vector is 7. By Pythagoras theorem, the length of hypotenuse is equal to square root of base square plus height square. The length of the vector v is magnitude and it's actually represented by 2 bars around the alphabets. As the base is 5 units and height is 7 units, we then substitute them into the equation and after solving, we get 8.60 units. Therefore, the magnitude of vector A is 8.60 units. Whenever you shoot an object, that object is not a vector, but the object has some quantities associated with it. Some quantities are vectors and some quantities are scalar. If we study all these quantities, then we can predict the behavior of objects.